For the whole week leading up to my 40th birthday, my husband kept teasing me. "Your gift is going to change everything," he'd say. That morning, I woke up to an unnerving quiet. The house was still, my kids were gone, and there wasn't even a note. By lunchtime, a post on Instagram revealed their location, a 5-star resort in Dubai. My daughter's caption read, "Daddy's amazing surprise trip, since Mom's no fun anyway." I didn't even flinch. 2 hours later, my phone started vibrating nonstop, a flood of desperate messages begging me to answer. I just stared at it, a cold sense of disbelief washing over me. 142 missed calls from Gregory. Not a single one had broken the profound silence of my now empty home. I'd set my phone to Do Not Disturb the second I saw Sophia's post. My thumb hovered over the WhatsApp icon, a little green circle showing dozens of messages from him. The latest one popped up on the screen. "Please, Ellie, pick up the phone. I am begging you." A small, tight smile touched my lips. The begging had started precisely 41 minutes after I'd forwarded the security footage to Robert. 41 minutes. That's all it took for Greg's meticulously crafted world to implode, for his corporate email to be deactivated, for his entire career to be vaporized. My very own 40th birthday gift to myself. Vindication. But let me start from the beginning. Let me tell you how this all unraveled just 7 hours before. For a week straight, Greg had been building up this birthday surprise. "Your gift will blow your mind, Ellie," he'd whisper, kissing my cheek before heading off to work. The night before, he'd been particularly attentive. He brought home my favorite Thai food, uncorked a nice bottle of Sauvignon Blanc, and instructed the kids to let me sleep in for my big day. I lay awake for a long time after his soft snores filled the room, just thinking about our 18 years of marriage. We were college sweethearts who had built a life from scratch, his steady climb up the ladder at Sterling Croft Investment Group, my choice to put my legal career on hold when Sophia was born, the beautiful house we'd bought in a Chicago suburb, the family trips to the coast we took every single summer. I absently fingered the sapphire necklace he'd given me for our anniversary last month, wondering if this milestone birthday present would be just as thoughtful. The silence that greeted me when I finally woke up was heavy and unnatural. There was no sound of Liam blasting his video games from his room, no muffled bass from Sophia's music vibrating through the floorboards. I couldn't smell Greg's strong coffee or the special birthday breakfast he had promised to make. "Greg?" I called out, but my voice just echoed back at me in the master bedroom. His side of the bed was cold to the touch. He'd been gone for hours. I pulled on my silk robe and padded down the carpeted hallway. "Sophia? Liam?" I pushed their bedroom doors open, only to find their beds perfectly made, a rare sight for my teenagers, and their closets suspiciously empty. A knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach as I rushed downstairs, calling their names with a growing sense of dread. The kitchen was pristine, completely untouched. I pulled open the refrigerator and saw the ingredients Greg had bought just yesterday: fresh raspberries, cream cheese, the brioche loaf I loved, all still in their original packaging. My birthday breakfast had never been made. That's when it hit me. I ran to the family bathroom and saw 3 toothbrushes missing from the holder. The large suitcases were gone from the hall closet. My children's favorite sneakers were absent from the shoe rack by the door. I sank onto a kitchen stool, suddenly surrounded by smiling family photos that felt like they were mocking me. The 6 of us at Disney World last year, with Greg's parents in tow. Sophia holding her trophy from the debate team finals. Liam standing proudly next to his science fair volcano. Family portraits where we all looked so happy, like we actually meant it. My phone buzzed from upstairs, and I sprinted to grab it, desperate for an explanation. There were birthday texts from college friends, my parents, even former colleagues from my old law firm. But there was nothing from my husband, not a single message from my children. I sent a text to Greg. "Where are you guys?" The message status changed to delivered. No reply. I tried Sophia. "Honey, where did everyone go?" The little blue dots appeared, indicating she'd seen it. Then they vanished. Nothing. Liam would answer. Sweet Liam, who still gave me hugs in front of his friends. "Liam, please just tell me what's going on." The status changed to read. No response. My hands were shaking as I opened Instagram. Sophia lived and breathed on that app. My breath hitched in my throat as her latest post loaded, and there they were, Greg, Sophia, and Liam, grinning from ear to ear next to a stunning infinity pool that overlooked a futuristic cityscape. Palm trees swayed in the background. Unbelievable luxury. The iconic sail-shaped Burj Al Arab was unmistakable in the distance. The caption was what shattered what little composure I had left. Surprise vacation with the best dad ever. Dubai luxury life, spontaneous adventure. Daddy's treating us since mom's no fun anyway. I just stared at the post, reading the caption over and over, trying to force the words to mean something else. Daddy's treating us since mom's no fun anyway. My own daughter's words, my husband's triumphant smile. My family, celebrating on the other side of the world without me, on my 40th birthday. I scrolled numbly through more pictures. Them posing in first-class airplane seats, checking into a palatial resort suite with a view that likely cost more than our monthly mortgage payment. Greg was raising a glass of champagne while the kids held up colorful mocktails. All of it posted within the last 12 hours. My knees buckled, and I slid down the wall to the floor, my phone still clutched in my hand. They had planned this. They had deliberately and cruelly left me behind. For the next hour, I drifted through the house like a ghost, touching familiar things as if to ground myself in reality. The framed anniversary photo on the mantel, the cozy throw blanket we always curled up under for movie nights, Liam's soccer trophy, Sophia's art projects that I had framed with so much love. My sister called, then my mother. I let their cheerful birthday wishes go straight to voicemail. Around 11 a.m., I poured myself a large glass of wine and sat down at our formal dining room table. I pulled out the family calendar where we meticulously tracked everyone's schedules. As I flipped back through the pages, I saw it. Greg had blocked off this entire week with the single word busy. No details. He'd never once mentioned a work trip. Never asked if I wanted to visit Dubai. Never even hinted that he and the kids would be gone on my birthday. I tried to rack my brain, to think of what I could have done to deserve this. Had I really become that boring? Had I become so lost in managing the household and championing everyone else's ambitions that I just faded into the background? Was the idea of me turning 40 so repulsive to him that he had to physically escape? Around noon, I found myself in Greg's home office, searching for any kind of clue. The drawers of his antique desk were locked, but I knew his secret. I knew he kept the spare key taped to the underside of the main drawer, thinking I'd never find it. Inside the bottom drawer, I found everything he didn't want me to see. Credit card statements he had carefully hidden from our shared financial software. Charges for expensive jewelry I had never received. Bills from high-end restaurants on Thursday nights when he always claimed to be working late. Hotel charges right here in our own city, and then the final blow. Flight confirmations for 3 tickets to Dubai, purchased over a month ago. Tucked among the papers was an expense report where one name appeared over and over again: Isabel Rossi, his executive assistant, the beautiful, ambitious 26-year-old who always laughed a little too loudly at his jokes during the company holiday parties. The one who always seemed to require his personal guidance long after business hours. As I dug deeper, my hand hit something hard at the back of the drawer. A phone I'd never seen before. Not his sleek company iPhone, but a cheap disposable burner phone. My fingers trembled as I powered it on. No password. He'd been careless. Maybe he'd meant to take it with him but forgot in the rush to abandon me. The text messages loaded, and in that instant, my world tilted on its axis. Can't wait for Thursday night. Same time, same place. Wear that red thing. Greg to Isabel, 2 weeks ago. Dubai will be amazing. Ellie has no idea. Told the kids it's a special treat just for them. Greg to Isabel 1 week ago. Flight is boarding. Freedom for a whole week. The kids think it's just a fun trip. Sophia's already posting about it. Greg to Isabel just yesterday. I set the phone down on the desk, surprised by the icy calm that washed over me. All the scattered pieces were finally clicking into place. The late-night client meetings on Thursdays, his sudden need to work late, the slow, creeping distance between us at home, the way he'd started to criticize me, my clothes, my hobbies, my conversation. I wasn't just boring. I was being actively erased to make space for someone new. As I gathered the evidence spread across his desk, the statements, the burner phone, the expense reports, a strange, cold clarity settled in. I thought about the state-of-the-art security cameras at Greg's office building. I knew the system recorded everything because I had helped select the vendor during their last renovation 3 years ago. Greg had always been reckless, overly confident in his charm and his ability to talk his way out of any situation. He would never in a million years suspect that I would look for evidence. He would never imagine that I would fight back. I picked up my own phone and scrolled to a contact I hadn't needed in years. David Chen, the head of security at Sterling Croft, the man who owed me a big favor after I'd helped his daughter land a coveted internship at my old law firm. It was time to find out exactly what happened every Thursday night in Greg's corner office. My finger hovered over David Chen's contact. Was I really about to do this? In 18 years of marriage, I had never once spied on Greg, never second-guessed where he was, never doubted his faithfulness. Our entire relationship was built on trust, or so I had believed. I glanced at the burner phone lying next to me, its screen still lit up with the intimate messages between my husband and his assistant. The proof was already undeniable, but a part of me, a cold, methodical part, needed to see the full, unvarnished truth with my own eyes. 3 years prior, Sterling Croft had gone through a massive security overhaul after a rival firm tried to poach sensitive client data. As Greg's wife with a background in corporate law, I'd been brought in to consult on the vendor selection process. I remembered walking the floors with David, discussing camera angles, data retention policies, and access protocols. He had been so proud of the system's 2-year cloud storage capacity. Better than the industry standard, he'd boasted. I never imagined that particular feature would one day become my lifeline. I sifted through the old business cards in my desk and found David's. Taking a deep breath, I pressed call before I could talk myself out of it. David Chen, he answered on the 3rd ring. David, it's Ellie Vance. Ellie, it's been ages. How are you? And happy birthday, if I'm not mistaken. His casual mention of my birthday sent a sharp pang through my chest. Thank you for remembering. Listen, I need a favor, and it's a bit of an unusual one. I could hear the hesitation in the silence that followed. I'm listening. I'm putting together a surprise anniversary video for Greg, I lied, my voice remarkably steady. I was hoping to get some clips of him at work, to show the dedication that's made him so successful. Would there be any way to get access to some of the security footage from his office? Another pause. That's not exactly standard procedure, Ellie. I know, and I wouldn't ask if it wasn't really important. I deliberately softened my voice. Remember when I helped Amber get that spot at Collier Walsh? I hear she's doing wonderfully there. She is, David admitted. Made junior associate last month. I'm so glad to hear that. We all need a little help to get ahead sometimes, don't we? I let the implication hang in the air between us. He let out a long sigh. Which dates are you thinking of? Thursday evenings, actually. For the past month or so, I said, keeping my tone light and conversational. Those late nights really show his commitment. Thursday evenings, he repeated, and I thought I detected a subtle shift in his tone. Did he know something? I can probably help with that. The system can generate a secure temporary link that expires in 24 hours. Would that work? Perfect, I replied, a wave of relief washing over me. And David, I'd really appreciate your discretion on this. I want it to be a complete surprise. After we hung up, I went back to the family calendar. The pattern was glaringly obvious now that I knew what to look for. Every Thursday for the last 6 months, client dinner, late meeting, strategy session. Always vague, always Thursdays. My mind drifted back to Isabel's hiring process about 8 months ago. Greg had insisted on handling the interviews for his new executive assistant himself. The HR director had favored an older woman with more experience, but Greg had championed Isabel, citing her fresh perspective and eagerness to learn. I remembered meeting her at the company holiday party, tall, brunette, laughing too hard at Greg's tired jokes, her eyes flicking down to his wedding band. I thought about how Greg's Thursday night routine had subtly changed. The expensive cologne he usually saved for major client meetings was now a weekly occurrence. The dress shirts that suddenly required perfect pressing. The increasingly late returns home, always with the faint smell of wine on his breath, and a flimsy excuse about networking. And his comments about me had started to shift too. Little digs about my comfortable loungewear, suggestions that I should really color my graying hair, questions about when I might get back in shape. Each remark was delivered with a smile, but they landed like tiny, sharp stones. All while Isabel was receiving jewelry I'd never seen and being treated to dinners I was never invited to. My laptop chimed, an email from David. A secure link and a temporary password had arrived much faster than I'd anticipated. I poured another glass of wine and shut the blinds in the home office, creating a dark, private space before I clicked the link. The security interface was clean and simple, with a calendar and a floor plan that allowed me to select specific dates, times, and camera views. I chose last Thursday, 7 p.m., and the camera positioned just outside Greg's office door. The footage loaded instantly. I watched as the last of the employees filed out for the night. At 7:43 p.m., Isabel returned from the direction of the break room, carrying 2 glasses of wine. She walked right into Greg's office without knocking. I switched to the interior camera. My husband greeted his assistant with a casual intimacy that made my stomach clench. They started with work talk, budget projections, client portfolios, but their body language screamed a different story. They sat too close together on his office sofa, their shoulders touching, their hands brushing as they passed a tablet back and forth. At 8:16 p.m., he kissed her. It wasn't a hesitant new kiss. It was a practiced, passionate embrace that spoke of a deep, established intimacy. I felt strangely disconnected as I watched them on his couch. This was the same man who had been claiming migraines and sheer exhaustion whenever I tried to initiate anything at home. Their encounter was both rushed and routine, clearly a well-worn pattern. Afterward, as they adjusted their clothes, their conversation turned to Dubai. "She has no idea?" Isabel asked, checking her reflection in a compact mirror. "Not a clue. She thinks I'm planning some big birthday surprise for her at home." "Well, you are surprising her," Isabel said, her smile cold. "Just not in the way she's expecting." The kids are thrilled. Sophia is completely on board. She thinks her mom's boring anyway. Typical teenage drama, but it's useful. "And you're sure she won't cause any problems while you're gone? No surprise investigations?" My husband's dismissive snort was like a knife in my heart. "Ellie, please. She's too busy with her book club and grocery list to notice a thing. She stopped being interesting years ago." I watched in a silent, frozen horror as Isabel opened a small velvet jewelry box, the purchase from the hidden credit card statement. Inside was a diamond bracelet that was an exact match to the necklace Greg had given me for our anniversary. "It's beautiful," she whispered, fastening it around her wrist. "Only the best for you," he promised, kissing her again. "And when I get back from Dubai, we'll talk about your promotion." I made myself watch 3 more Thursdays, documenting dates, times, and snippets of their conversations. Every recording unearthed more betrayals, jokes at my expense, discussions about my predictability, plans made using our family's money. By the time I finished, my phone had lit up with 12 new notifications. Greg had sent pictures from Dubai, their breakfast, the hotel suite, the kids splashing in the pool. Sophia had finally sent a half-hearted happy birthday mom text. 6 hours into my special day, I ignored all of them. Instead, I created a new folder on my laptop and labeled it Evidence. I downloaded the most damning clips of the security footage, meticulously documented the credit card statements, photographed every text message from the burner phone, and compiled a detailed timeline of Greg's deceit. For hours, I worked with a cold, methodical focus. My old legal training came flooding back as I constructed an airtight case against my own husband. The pain had morphed into something harder, something more precise. I remembered Greg once mentioning Sterling Croft's strict morality clause for its senior partners. It was designed to protect the firm's squeaky clean reputation with its wealthy, conservative client base. A clause that explicitly forbade romantic relationships with direct subordinates. A clause that mandated immediate termination for any violation. I knew exactly what to target. Not his heart, he clearly didn't have one, but the thing he truly cherished, his position, his power, and his reputation. By sunset on my 40th birthday, abandoned by my family but armed with a mountain of irrefutable evidence, I had my plan. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't make a scene. I would simply show Robert Sterling, the managing partner at Sterling Croft, exactly what kind of man he had promoted to partner. And then, I would wait for my phone to start ringing. I slept surprisingly well that night. The crushing emptiness of the house, which had felt so devastating just hours before, now felt like a sanctuary. It was a space where I could execute my plan without any interruptions. I woke up before my 5:30 a.m. alarm, feeling a strange surge of energy. The early morning sun slanted through my office blinds as I reviewed Sterling Croft's employee handbook, the one Greg had carelessly left in his desk drawer years ago. Page 42, Section 8.3, Executive Conduct and Morality Clause. I had already highlighted the key passages. Executives shall not engage in romantic or sexual relationships with direct subordinates. violation constitutes grounds for immediate termination, and misuse of company resources for personal affairs represents serious misconduct. I had practiced corporate law long enough to know airtight language when I saw it. Robert Sterling had built his firm's reputation on a foundation of integrity and old money conservative values. The firm managed billions for clients who demanded nothing less than impeccable behavior from the people handling their fortunes. Opening my laptop, I began drafting an email with the cold precision I once reserved for legal briefs. There was no emotional language, no accusations of personal betrayal, just cold, hard facts, evidence, and direct citations of company policy. To Robert, sterling@sterlingcroft.com. CC, Board of Directors at sterlingcroft.com. Subject, urgent ethics violation, executive suite misconduct. Mr. Sterling and board members, it is with profound regret that I must bring to your attention serious violations of company policy by partner Gregory Vance. The attached evidence documents: 1. An ongoing inappropriate relationship with his executive assistant, Isabel Rossi. 2. Misuse of company premises for personal activities during business hours. 3. Improper allocation of company funds for personal gifts and travel expenses. All of these actions directly contravene Section 8.3 of the Executive Conduct Policy. I have included time-stamped security footage, relevant expense reports, and documentation of company resources used to facilitate these activities. As someone who has always respected Sterling Croft's commitment to ethical conduct, I felt obligated to bring these matters to your attention. Respectfully, Eleanor Vance. JDI attached the most damning clips, carefully edited to show only the workplace misconduct and the explicit conversations about misusing company funds. I added the expense reports from his desk, highlighting the charges for jewelry, dinners, and hotel rooms that he'd billed as client entertainment. My finger hovered over the send button, but I waited. The timing had to be perfect. The weekly executive meeting started at 9:15 a.m. every Tuesday. It was a meeting where all partners and board members gathered to discuss sensitive firm business, and Robert famously insisted everyone silence their phones and give their undivided attention. I installed a simple email tracking extension that would notify me the moment the message was opened. Then I made a pot of coffee and watched the clock tick. At precisely 9:15 a.m., just as the meeting would be called to order, I clicked send. The notification popped up instantly. Email delivered successfully. By 9:23 a.m., the first red receipt came in, then another, then 5 more in quick succession. At 9:27 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from David Chen. "What did you do?" "Security just got called up to the executive floor." I didn't reply. Instead, I watched my tracking software as it showed multiple people opening, forwarding, and downloading my attachments. At 9:56 a.m., exactly 41 minutes after I'd sent my email, an automated notification appeared in my inbox. This is an automated message from Sterling Croft IT Department. User, Gregory, Vance@sterlingcroft.com. Status, access terminated. Effective, immediate. Authorization, executive level. My phone vibrated with an app notification from our home security system. I'd installed it years ago so we could check on the house while traveling. The app also synchronized with Greg's office security badge, a feature he'd long forgotten about. The notification read, "Office access denied, executive floor, security override." They were walking him out. At 10:06 a.m., a brief, formal email arrived from Robert Sterling himself. "Mrs. Vance, thank you for bringing these matters to our attention. Sterling Croft takes ethics violations with the utmost seriousness. Appropriate action has been taken. effective immediately. Should you require any further assistance, please contact my office directly. Robert Sterling, Managing Partner, Sterling Croft Investment Group. I refreshed the company website and navigated to the Our Team page. Greg's profile, once featured prominently as a rising star partner, was gone. It left an asymmetrical blank space in the leadership grid. At 10:29 a.m., my phone lit up with Greg's face, the first call. I declined it. He called again and again. Then the text messages started pouring in. "What did you do?" "My access is revoked. Security just walked me out of the building. Answer your phone right now, Ellie. This isn't funny. Are you trying to ruin us?" With each desperate message, a strange sense of peace settled over me. I silenced the ringer but kept the phone on my desk, watching his panic escalate in real time. By noon, he had called 63 times. At 12:17 p.m., a notification from Sophia appeared. "Mom, what's happening? Dad's freaking out and says we have to leave the hotel. Is everything okay?" Liam texted seconds later. "Mom, are you all right? Dad won't tell us what's wrong, but he's really mad. He's making us pack." I didn't answer them either. Not yet. The calls kept coming. 77, 92, 108. By 2 p.m., Greg had called 142 times. His WhatsApp messages became a waterfall of frantic pleas. "Please, Ellie, answer the phone. I'm begging you. Whatever you think happened, we can fix this. Think about the kids. Think about our family. I've been locked out of everything. Corporate accounts, email, building access. Robert won't even take my call." "What did you tell them?" That last message made me smile. He still had no idea what I'd actually done. He couldn't conceive that I had access to it all. The security footage, the expense accounts, the texts with Isabel. While his messages piled up, I moved through our house with a newfound purpose. I gathered Greg's personal belongings, his prized college football trophies, his expensive watch collection, the framed photos of his achievements, and packed them neatly into cardboard boxes labeled simply Greg's Things. I contacted my friend Chloe, who had stayed in practice and become a partner at a top family law firm. "I need an emergency consultation," I told her. "Marriage dissolution. Circumstances involve infidelity, financial misconduct, and abandonment. Ellie, what on earth happened?" Her voice was laced with concern. "I'll explain everything when we meet. How quickly can you file to freeze our joint assets? Under emergency circumstances?" "By the end of the day." "Are you safe?" The question caught me off guard. "I'm perfectly safe," I said. And for the first time in a very long time, I'm seeing everything clearly. After setting up a meeting for the next morning, I called a locksmith. He arrived within the hour. I had every exterior lock on the house changed and reprogrammed our smart home security system with new codes only I knew. I contacted our bank and put a temporary freeze on our joint accounts, citing potential fraudulent activity. Each action was a methodical dismantling of the life Greg thought he controlled. By late afternoon, Sophia called instead of texting. I watched my daughter's name flash on the screen, but let it go to voicemail. They had chosen their side that morning. They could sit with their uncertainty for a little while longer. As the sun set, painting my empty house in soft, golden light, I sat in what had been our shared bedroom and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. Not the bitter sting of revenge, but genuine, quiet power. For 18 years, I had molded myself around Greg's needs, his schedule, his ambitions. I had paused my career, managed his home, raised his children, and believed his lies. But now, as his desperate pleas continued to light up my phone, I was the one in control. Each frantic call was a confirmation of my new reality. Each pleading text underscored the fundamental shift in our dynamic. I was no longer the boring wife to be discarded on her 40th birthday. I was the woman who had systematically dismantled everything he valued in a single, perfectly executed strike. And I wasn't done yet. I spent the evening tracking their frantic journey home. Sophia's Instagram story became a digital breadcrumb trail of their chaotic retreat. First, a confused selfie at the resort captioned, "Vacation cut short," followed by a photo of packed suitcases tagged, "Sudden change of plans." Liam, who rarely used social media, posted an uncharacteristic airport selfie. His expression was somber, his eyes reflecting a deep confusion that twisted my heart. Heading home early. Not sure why, his caption read, its simplicity carrying a heavy, unintentional weight. Through our family location sharing app, something Greg had insisted on for safety, but had clearly forgotten to disable, I watched their digital avatars move from the luxury resort to Dubai International Airport. Greg's frantic calls had tapered off, replaced by terse messages about flight logistics. No direct flights. Have to connect through London. Will be delayed. Kids are asking questions I can't answer. Answer your damn phone, Ellie. I tracked their path across the globe, calculating their arrival time. It would be a 22-hour ordeal, including layovers and delays. Nearly a full day for Greg to stew in his panic, trapped in a pressurized cabin with our two increasingly wary children. I had spent my day with Chloe, my attorney, preparing for this moment. "You've got him dead to rights," she'd confirmed, her eyes scanning the evidence I'd laid out. "The prenup has a specific infidelity clause he's flagrantly violated. Plus, the commingling of family assets for his indiscretions. We'll file first thing tomorrow." Now, as night fell on the day after my birthday, I took my position on our front porch. I had a folder of selected evidence resting on my lap. The porch light threw long, dramatic shadows across the manicured lawn Greg had always been so proud of. The neighborhood was quiet, families settled in for the night, oblivious to the drama about to unfold on my doorstep. At 9:47 p.m., headlights swept across the driveway. An Uber pulled up, and 3 exhausted, disheveled figures emerged. Greg saw me first. His expression flickered through a rapid succession of relief, anger, and stark fear. Sophia and Liam hung back, their body language screaming confusion. "What did you do?" Greg hissed, storming up the front walk. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I know exactly what I did," I interrupted, my voice perfectly calm. "The real question is, do you?" Sophia stepped forward, her teenage bravado kicking in. "Mom, why didn't you answer our calls? Dad said there was an emergency." "There was," I said, standing up and holding the folder to my chest. "Just not the kind your father told you about." Liam was still silent, his eyes darting between us, sensing the raw tension that crackled in the air. "Kids, take your bags inside," Greg ordered, his gaze locked on me. "The locks have been changed," I informed him coolly, "and they should stay for this. They deserve to know exactly why their 5-star vacation was cut short." I opened the folder and handed Greg the first page, a printed high-resolution screenshot of him and Isabel on his office couch, their bodies entwined in a way that left nothing to the imagination. To his credit, he tried to snatch it away, but not before Sophia caught a glimpse over his shoulder. "Dad." Her voice was a fragile whisper. "It's not what it looks like," he stammered, falling back on the oldest, most pathetic cliché in the book. "It's exactly what it looks like," I countered, my voice like steel as I produced another image. "Your father has been having an affair with his secretary for months. The same period of time he's been telling me that I'm boring and unattractive." Greg's face twisted with rage. "Don't you dare do this in front of them." "Why not?" You did, I shot back, turning to my children. While I was at home, alone on my birthday, thinking you were all planning a sweet surprise, you were actually part of your father's cover story. He used both of you as props for his affair. Sophia's defiance crumbled. That's not true, he said. He said you were too busy and stressed for a vacation. Did I seem stressed in the dozens of unanswered birthday texts I sent you yesterday? I asked softly. Or did I seem like someone who woke up to an empty house on a day her family was supposed to be celebrating with her? Liam stepped forward, his face streaked with tears. I told you we should have called Mom first, he said, his voice thick with accusation as he looked at Greg. I didn't want to leave without telling her. You needed to control the narrative, I continued, my focus back on Greg. I handed the children printouts of their own social media posts. Sophia stared at her own Instagram caption. Daddy's treating us since Mom's no fun anyway. The color drained from her face. Did you suggest that wording, honey? I asked her gently. Her eyes, so much like mine, filled with tears. Dad said it would be funny, she choked out. He said you'd laugh when you saw it. Greg lunged toward the door. This is ridiculous. We're all exhausted. Let us in, and we can discuss this like adults. Like the adult who abandoned his wife on her 40th birthday? Or the adult who used our family credit card to buy his mistress jewelry? Sophia gasped, and Liam made a small, wounded noise. Here's what's going to happen, I said, maintaining the cool composure I had rehearsed all day. Liam and Sophia can come inside. Their rooms are exactly as they left them. You, Greg, can find somewhere else to stay. Your personal items are packed in boxes in the garage. You can't just lock me out of my own house. The house that's in my name? I replied, remembering the deed. The one I inherited from my grandmother and renovated with my trust fund? That house? I offered him a smile devoid of any warmth. I think you'll find I can. Liam moved first, slipping past me through the door I unlocked with my new key. Sophia hesitated, her loyalty torn between the two parents she'd always seen as a single, unbreakable unit. It's okay, Soph, I said softly. This isn't your fault. None of it is. Dad? She pleaded, looking back at him one last time. Greg's face hardened into an ugly mask. Your mother has clearly lost her mind. She's trying to destroy our family because she's jealous and vindictive. The accusation hung in the humid night air for a moment. Sophia, I said calmly, check your father's phone. Look for messages from Isabel. Don't you touch my phone? Greg snapped, but it was too late. Sophia had already seen the truth in his panicked reaction. She walked past me into the house, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Left alone on the porch, Greg's bravado finally shattered. You've destroyed everything, he whispered, his voice hoarse. My career, my reputation. You did that yourself, I corrected him. Every Thursday night for the last 6 months. Every lie you told our children. Every time you charged another hotel room to our family account. The days that followed were a strange blend of chaos and crystalline clarity. Greg's professional implosion was total. Robert Sterling personally called to inform me that several major clients had requested their portfolios be transferred to other partners upon learning of Greg's departure. The investment community is a small world, Ellie, Robert explained. Word travels fast. Isabel quietly took a settlement and signed a non-disclosure agreement, vanishing from Greg's life as quickly as she had appeared. Without his position, his power, or his expense account, she had evidently found greener pastures. Greg's so-called colleagues, men who had eaten at our dinner table and whose children had played with ours, now avoided him in public. His calls to his professional network went unreturned. His country club membership was quietly revoked. The social and professional empire he had spent decades building crumbled under the weight of his own scandal. Meanwhile, Sophia and Liam were grappling with their own sense of betrayal. Sophia's initial defense of her father dissolved once she fully understood how deeply he had manipulated her. He kept saying, "You were probably glad for the break," she confessed one night, her voice barely a whisper. "That you never really enjoyed family vacations anyway." Liam's reaction was rawer, less complicated by teenage angst. "I didn't want to go without you," he repeated over and over, clinging to me with a desperation he hadn't shown since he was a small child. It just felt wrong the whole time. Through it all, I found a reservoir of strength I never knew I had. I comforted my children while nursing my own wounds, assuring them that the divorce was not their fault, that they would never have to choose a side, and that my love for them was the one thing that would never change. 1 week after my birthday, Chloe and I met Greg and his hastily hired lawyer at her firm's conference room. She presented him with the divorce papers and a detailed accounting of his misconduct. The prenuptial agreement Mrs. Vance signed includes clear provisions regarding infidelity, Chloe stated clinically. Section 3.2 specifically voids the community property provisions if either party engages in extramarital affairs. Greg's lawyer's face grew pale as he flipped through the document. Additionally, Chloe continued, "We've documented extensive misuse of family funds for personal indiscretions, including but not limited to jewelry, hotel stays, and the recent trip to Dubai." She slid a spreadsheet across the table, each questionable charge meticulously categorized and dated. "We have 3 witnesses prepared to testify regarding Mr. Vance's character and conduct should this proceed to court." Chloe's tone left no doubt that this was not a path he wanted to take. However, Mrs. Vance is prepared to offer a reasonable settlement. The terms were simple. I would keep the house and have primary custody of the children. Greg would retain his personal investments and certain assets acquired before our marriage. He would pay a reasonable amount of child support, but no alimony. I didn't want his money. More importantly, the settlement included a strict confidentiality agreement. In exchange for a swift, uncontested divorce, I would not publicly share the lurid details of his affair beyond what was already known. "You're being surprisingly generous," his lawyer noted, a look of confusion on his face. "I'm being practical," I corrected him. "I want this chapter of my life closed, so my children and I can begin to heal." As Greg signed the papers, his hand trembling, I realized the final, sad truth of our marriage. Even in its spectacular demolition, he had never truly seen me. He had underestimated my intelligence, my resilience, and my capacity for cold, calculated justice. It was the last mistake he would ever make at my expense. I didn't expect healing to begin with silence, but that's exactly how it started. 2 weeks after signing the divorce papers, I sat in Dr. Evelyn Reed's softly lit office, unable to form a single word. They were all there, 18 years of unspoken thoughts and feelings, but they were trapped behind a lifetime of putting everyone else's needs first. "Take your time, Eleanor," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "This space is yours." Those 4 simple words, "This space is yours," unlocked something deep inside me. My space, my time, my healing. Our weekly sessions became my anchor. Dr. Reed helped me see the patterns I'd been blind to for years, how I'd slowly diminished myself to build Greg up, how I had internalized his subtle criticisms until I actually believed I was boring and unremarkable. "You built your identity around being his wife," she observed in our 3rd session. "Now you get to discover who Ellie really is." That journey started with small, tentative steps. I dug out the watercolor set I had packed away when Sophia was a baby. My first paintings were clumsy and amateurish, but the simple joy of creating something just for me felt revolutionary. I joined a book club, not the one Greg had derided as suburban and predictable, but one focused on women's memoirs and self-discovery. Most importantly, I began to reconnect with friends who had slowly faded from my life. A lunch with my old law school roommate revealed a painful truth. "We stopped inviting you, Ellie, because Greg always had an excuse," she admitted over salads. "He'd say you were too tired or too busy with the kids. After a while, we just assumed you weren't interested." Similar conversations with other friends painted a stark picture of how methodically Greg had isolated me, all under the guise of protecting my time and our family priorities. Each reconnection felt like reclaiming a lost piece of myself. My journal became a sanctuary where I could process the waves of anger that still ambushed me at unexpected moments. "Today I found his old running shoes in the back of the garage and threw them in the trash," I wrote one evening. "Then I felt guilty and fished them out. Then I felt angry at myself for feeling guilty and threw them out again." Progress isn't linear. The children's healing mirrored my own. Sophia, initially shattered by her unwitting part in Greg's deception, withdrew into a shell. Liam became clingy, terrified that I too might disappear if he let me out of his sight. Their mandatory visits with Greg, who was now living in a sterile downtown apartment, often ended with emotional aftershocks that rippled through our home for days. So I created new family traditions to replace the ones tainted by betrayal. Our Friday movie nights, once dictated by Greg's tastes, became a democracy where everyone got a vote. Sunday brunches, which used to be rushed affairs before Greg's golf tee time, became long, leisurely gatherings where conversation flowed freely. Family counseling gave Sophia and Liam a neutral ground to voice their tangled emotions. "I'm mad at Dad, but I still love him," Liam confessed during one session. "Does that make me disloyal to you, Mom?" "Love isn't a finite resource, sweetie," our counselor explained gently. "Loving your father doesn't take away from the love you have for your mother." Sophia's healing was more complex, her teenage identity deeply intertwined with her perception of our perfect family. "You're different now," she observed one evening as we made dinner together, another new tradition. "You laugh more." "I'm remembering who I was," I told her, "and I'm discovering who I can still be." "I'm so sorry about that Instagram caption," she whispered, her voice catching. "I never, ever would have posted that if I'd known." I pulled her into a hug. "I know, sweetheart. We were all manipulated in our own ways. This new vulnerability between us, my willingness to share appropriate parts of my own journey, allowed my children to see me as a whole person, not just a mother. And that shift in perspective created a space for real connection to grow." 3 months after filing for divorce, Robert Sterling called with an unexpected proposal. "Sterling Croft is establishing a new ethics and compliance division," he explained. "Given your legal background and your unique perspective on executive misconduct, we'd like to discuss a potential role for you." The irony was so thick I could taste it. The firm that had been the backdrop for my deepest betrayal was now offering me professional redemption. "I'm not interested in being the firm's cautionary tale," I told him bluntly. "That's exactly why you're perfect for this," Robert countered. "You understand the human cost of these breaches. And frankly, Ellie, several of our female executives specifically requested your involvement." After careful consideration and a long talk with my therapist, I accepted an interview. Walking into the Sterling Croft headquarters felt surreal, but it was also empowering. I was no longer Greg Vance's wife. I was Eleanor Vance, JD, a professional in her own right. The position they offered was tailor-made for me. Flexible hours that worked with my family's needs, challenging work that drew on my legal expertise, and the chance to create policies that might prevent another family from experiencing what mine had. After completing a refresher course in corporate compliance law, I stepped back into my career with a confidence I hadn't felt in nearly 2 decades. 6 months after my ruined 40th birthday, I faced Greg for the final divorce proceeding. The man who walked into the conference room was a ghost of the husband I had known. His expensive suit hung loosely on his thinner frame. Silver had streaked his temples, and the easy, charming confidence that had once defined him was gone. "You look well," he offered, his tone tinged with surprise. "I am well," I replied simply. As our attorneys finalized the last of the paperwork, Greg made one last, desperate attempt at manipulation. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he began, his voice lowered. "We built a life together, Ellie. 18 years. The kids need stability. Maybe we could consider counseling, a fresh start." I cut him off, my voice gentle but firm. "There's no going back, Greg. Is this really what you want?" he asked, a dangerous edge creeping into his voice. "To tear our family apart over one mistake?" I met his gaze without flinching. "This is what you created. I'm just moving forward." Before leaving, I placed a small velvet box on the table between us. Inside was the sapphire anniversary necklace he'd given me, the twin to Isabel's bracelet. "This doesn't belong to me," I said quietly. It never really did. I walked out of that room without looking back, the sound of my heels clicking on the marble floor a steady rhythm alongside Chloe's. Outside, the bright spring sunshine warmed my face. For the first time since my birthday, I felt something that resembled peace. My 41st birthday arrived on a perfect April morning. There were no grand promises, no mysterious hints about mind-blowing gifts. Instead, Liam knocked on my door at a reasonable hour, proudly carrying a tray with slightly burnt toast and a mug of fresh coffee. "Sophia's decorating downstairs," he whispered conspiratorially. "She made me promise not to tell you." Downstairs, my daughter had transformed the dining room with handmade paper flowers and a banner she had clearly stayed up all night making. "Mom's rebirth day," it proclaimed in glittering letters. My parents arrived with my favorite childhood dishes. My friends came bearing thoughtful gifts that celebrated my rediscovered hobbies, new art supplies, books by female authors, a gift certificate for hiking gear for the weekend trips I'd started taking with a women's outdoor club. My sister brought photo albums from before I'd met Greg, visual reminders of the vibrant, ambitious woman I had once been and was slowly becoming again. As Sophia carried out the cake she had baked herself, chocolate with buttercream frosting, my favorite, not the carrot cake Greg had always insisted on, I felt tears well in my eyes. "I'd like to make a toast," I said, raising my glass, "to lessons learned the hard way, to resilience found in the most broken of places, and to all of you for helping me remember that life's most precious gift is being true to yourself." Later that evening, as the last of the guests departed and my children cleared away the plates, I stepped onto the back porch of the home that was now truly and completely mine. The garden I had planted in the raw weeks after the divorce was beginning to bloom, new green shoots emerging from the freshly turned soil. Just like me, I thought, as I watched the sunset paint the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple. This was not the life I had planned. The journey to get here had been more painful than I could have ever imagined. But standing there in my garden, surrounded by people who loved and valued me for exactly who I was, I realized that Greg had, in his own cruel and unintentional way, kept his promise. My 40th birthday gift had, indeed, blown my mind. It had shattered the comfortable illusions I had been living in for years and forced me to rebuild something real and authentic from the ruins. and that painful, brutal gift of truth had in the end set me free.